well, I can't figure this out. Like help me out. I'm trying to understand, dudes, what the hell is going on? So that's the name of this partnership. You tell me. You tell me. You tell me. You tell me.
Boy.
On Monday.
You tell me.
Bump.
You tell me. You tell me. Live on Mondays. You tell
Monday
me.
Night Live, baby.
Live on Mondays. You tell
Gets
me.
no better.
Live
Gets
on
no
Mondays.
better.
You
Wow. Sound man is in the building. Shots in the air for the sound man. Sound man is on point. Let me tell you something about the sound man before we kick off the show. You know, sometimes when you go to the comedy shows and you're going to see a headliner, they have a warm-up act, you know, to get the crowd ready, Dukes.
Mm-hmm.
Sound man, before we went live, Sound man had us jamming to Juvie the Great.
Man.
Brought back some memories there, Dukes.
Man, 400 degrees. 400 degrees.
I'm ready to mask up.
Man, what you talking about, man? I remember where I was when I first heard that, man. Good gracious. It sounded different than anything that was out at the time, too. That was the one.
You don't want to F with me, baby. Shout out to Juvie the Great, man. Shout out to Juvie. It is Monday night. That can only be one thing. It's time for You Tell Me Live with your man, Uncle Neely from the Pregame Show, partnered with my man Dukes the Scoop. Together, It is You Tell Me. We go live on Monday nights, and we just ask each other questions that we have not rehearsed, we have not shared, but we just want, hey, man, you tell me, like, what you think, how you see it. Before we get into the show, Dukes, you tell me, how you been since we last talked, brother? How was your week?
Man, it's been good, man. Man, blessed. I can't, I'm blood gang, blood of Jesus, man. God been good to me, you feel me? So, yeah, everything been good, man. I can't complain at all. How about you?
Man, same thing on this end. That weather really hit Dallas bad, and I have to travel through Dallas when I'm coming from Mississippi. But, the airports were on point. None of my flights were really delayed or have any issues. So I was able to leave Jackson, get on board in Dallas, and land here. And back in Boulder, baby, for a few days. Had the first team meeting, Coach Bryant's staff meeting as well to kick off the season. So, man, the one thing about it, as blessed as we all are, it really begins to hit you that football, college football, is a year-round sport now.
Absolutely, man. When you think about high school recruiting opening back up, you're gonna see offers flying around. People are still in the transfer portal, believe it or not. Like, it's still going on. The portal is still going on. And then as soon as you get finished with that, you got your staff changes, you got your introducing a new team. Then you got off-season workouts. Before you know it, a spring ball. Then you got summer workouts, fall camp, and we right back at it, baby.
Right back at it. Right back at it. And speaking of right back at it, we are right back at it. Again, you are tuned in to the Pregame Show Network. Maybe you're on Duke the Scoop channel. Maybe you're on Big Dog Chico channel. Either way, three of us in this partnership. Big Dog is producing in the background. Make sure, whether it's during the show, after the show, all week long, whatever, that you check out all three of those platforms. Like and subscribe and turn on the notifications to each one of them, because we're not in competition. We are in partnership. Spiders can tie up a lion if they work together, and webs are strong when you work together, baby. So that's what we're doing for this company. We are working together. We're going to tie up some lions with these webs. But without further ado, let's kick it off, Douche. On you, baby. What you got for me?
What you tell me, what was the energy like yesterday in the first team meeting without Shiloh and Shador?
I tell you what, it was an interesting tone from a historical perspective, because so many people in the room from a staff side of it, have worked with those three and the Cameron Silman Craigs, and the list goes on and on, for 3 or 4 years coming from Jackson State. So it did feel different than as the various coaches who remained on staff spoke. You're like, okay, let's get into the season mode. But when the new strength and conditioning coach spoke, that's when it went up a notch. And I know y'all seen clips of the speeches or seen his speech on its entirety on the Pregame Network platform. It was an amazing kickoff for the calendar year of football, because there was no stone left unturned on what the expectations were, and that we're, as Coach Prime put it, we're accustomed to having great players. This year, we're going to have a great team. I enjoyed every minute, of his first staff meeting. And let me tell you this about that staff meeting, Duke. So this is something I told Coach Prime personally in his office later on that day. This is my 6th inaugural staff meeting with him going into, football calendar year, because this fall will be the 6th season with him. This was the best one. And I told him the reason it was the best one is you didn't leave that meeting guessing whether he was talking to you. You didn't leave that meeting wondering whether he was talking to you. You left that meeting knowing this is what this man is expecting. This is what these student athletes are demanding and they're going to get from us. And if you can't deliver it, can't handle it, we will make the appropriate changes. And it wasn't in a confrontational tone. It wasn't some adversarial. It was something everybody clapped for and bought into, because we don't have the luxury of an eraser anymore. What I mean by that is when you get to year 3 and you're in a program as a head coach, ain't no more, well, he's new here. He's just getting the hang of it. Give him time. People want to win now. You turn the program around from 1-11 to 4-8, then to 9-4. The expectation is even greater into going this one. So the demand has to be greater. I thought his tone and tenor for that staff meeting and for that players meeting were exceptional.
Wow,
you,
man.
You tell me from afar when you watched it or you heard and you seen the clips and you seen the tweets, what'd you take away from it?
Man, I was ready to run through a wall, dog. Like, hey, man, I was so turned. Let me tell you, like, I had to go find out who the guy was. Like, I saw the clips and I'm seeing everything that's going around. We're talking about Coach Swasey, and I watched a lot and I saw a lot what was going on. But man, and I like what the players were saying and how they reintroduced themselves or introduced themselves for the first time, the new players. But man, when Coach Swasey came in that thing, I said, okay, all right, he got some real juice, right? So when I man, listen, I went and did my research right then. I mean, I stayed up till almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I put a video out at about 3 o'clock in the morning last night on Swasey. I had to go get it. I had to go find out right then. I didn't know if the video was going to do well or not. But I went to go listen to every podcast I could find. I went to go read every article I could read so I could know as much about the guy who gave me a second burst of energy after 11 o'clock at night last night, Eastern time. So if he could fire me up 2 time zones away and I ain't in the locker room, imagine what he can do with that team. And we'll get into it. I'm gonna save some because I got a good feeling that's gonna be part of our You Tell Me as Coach Sway. So I'm gonna hold off on some of the stuff I was gonna say. But yeah, absolutely, man. There's no way you could watch that video and have a pulse and not get fired up. There's no way.
Look, big dog, in the background, Duke's right here up front with me. You're tuned in to You Tell Me on Monday Night Live. Duke, I'm going to help you out. We can get into it right now because my You Tell Me to you will be about strength and conditioning. Okay. Coach Prime has decided to make a change. Coach Mo has been retained. Maurice Sims is still on staff here, but he brought in a new head for strength and conditioning. Spent a lot of time down at the U in Miami, put a lot of folks in the NFL, so knows what he's doing, well accomplished in bowl games as well. You tell me, Dukes, how concerned should the fan base be about this staff change being made when everybody, loved and appreciated Coach Mo? Is this something that people should be concerned about or cheering about? You tell me.
You gotta be cheering about it. Reason being, when you look at the resume of a Coach Swasey, when you look at what he can add to that atmosphere, when you look at what he can help Coach Mo with, see, a lot of people are looking at it like it has to be an either or, and not thinking of it as a tandem thing. How can these guys work together when you have somebody who has the rapport with a lot of the returning players to mix it in with the guy with the resume that Coach Swasey has? And you blend those things together and you get what can be a powder keg for success, especially when it comes to development of their bodies. So the key, the lifeblood to every program outside of recruiting, once you get the recruits there, the lifeblood of the program is strength and conditioning. And strength and conditioning not only a physical thing. More so than anything, it's a mental thing. When you're a top flight football player, an athlete, you're already in the top 1% of athletes in the world. The key to strength and conditioning is less about how big your muscles get, but it's how big your heart gets in the fourth quarter. It's how smart you get to not want to waste your production in that weight room by how you eat when you leave. It's about discipline. It's about structure. And I think those are the things that Coach Swasey brings. When you go look at his resume and you look at, just go Google his name or go search his name on Twitter/X. You are going to see multiple Pro Bowl players just sing his praises. You ain't got to look far. You can just go look on Twitter. Just put his name in. You'll see his son. You'll see former players. You'll see coaches. You'll see from Florida International to the University of Miami to Baylor in his playing days to the JUCO he went to. I mean, you just go down the list. I have not seen a crossword about him, and it's easy to find a crossword on the internet. So when you bring in a guy who resume precedes him digitally, first of all, then secondly, when you have a guy who takes a phone call and says, you know what, he was good. He was in Miami. He was straight. He just sent his baby boy is playing college baseball at Miami-Dade College. So he's good. But when you get a guy to come and uproot and say, you know what, I'm going to bring something to this program, you better believe that fire that you saw in him on that video, that you saw live, that wasn't for show. That wasn't because it was cameras there. He probably would have turned it up a little more if the cameras weren't there. and so I can't go on. I can go on and on about what I think, how good a hire this was for Colorado. You tell me what you think, Uncle Neely.
Well, first thing I tell you that when it's time to go on and on, this is your platform. You go on and on all you want to. We don't have no time limit. So always keep that in mind. This
man,
us.
thank you, man.
We'll talk as long as we want to talk. But as far as you're flipping the you tell me back to me, I think folks need to just embrace this and understand that likability is one thing, but when there's time to go to another level, that's another thing. And that is no disrespect to Coach Mo. Coach Mo did wonderful things at Jackson State, did wonderful things here in Colorado as well. And before I dig into Coach Swasey, let me commend Coach Mo on his maturity and professionalism to accept this new position as an assistant to the head coach when a lot of folks would have walked off. Coach Mo knows, man, he's not even 40 years old yet, got a long future ahead of him, can learn a lot, from working with this new head coach, which will only elevate him when the team is winning more and winning more dominantly. And speaking of winning dominantly, let's address and look at our 4 losses, Duke. If you look at the 4 losses, we were simply out physical. We were out conditioned. We were out strength. We were pushed around in the trenches, et cetera, and there's no denying that. And so when you get to the off season, and while you're evaluating during season, things that we got to be different, because here's what we know now that you didn't know this time last year. It's going to take 10 wins. It's going to take 10 wins to be in the driver's seat of the Big 12. It's going to take at least 9 to make the championship. But if you want to be assured there, you got to have 10, maybe an 11. Because that's what the top teams in the conference are going to be forcing you into to get to the Big 12 championship, to win the Big 12 championship, and thereby placing the CFP. Because make no mistake about it, the goal this year is not to get Miss Peggy to a bowl game. The goal this year is to win the Big 12 championship. That means you got to get there. That means you got to be number 1 in the conference. That means you can't get pushed around 4 times in the trenches. So what did Coach Brian do? What any great CEO or leader will do. Let's look in the mirror. Let's address the problem. Let's bring in somebody who can shake things up and get us to that next level while showing appreciation and all that for those who got us to this level that we are. Now that's the foundation that we're standing on. How do we go up any further? You got to make some changes, and you got to have a person that's going to turn the players over to the football staff, well-conditioned, where effort is not an issue. Because the easier you can make the effort at practice, the better you can practice, the better you can develop as a player, the more dominant you can be on game day. But it all starts with that spring strength and conditioning and that summer 1 and summer 2 before you go to fall camp, Coach Prime just simply evaluated where we were underperforming during the season. Let's bring in somebody to fix that. One of those underperformance areas was, whereas we were less penalties this year than last year, we were still the most penalized team, the Big 12, Dukes. The most penalized team in the Big 12, dead last. What is strength and conditioning outside of getting stronger faster? Discipline, checks and balances, accountability. So I know people who love these sausages but don't want to see it get made. They watch his speech in its entirety on the Pregame Network channel. Man, why are you coming there yelling? Why are you coming there pointing out people? Why are you telling people, why are you treating them like that? Discipline from day one, setting the standard from day one, setting the expectations from day one, and you're going to see the results of it when the season arrives. I love the hire. I love that Coach Mo was retained and made the decision to stay as well as Coach Reyes. But this was a needed flip for this organization.
No, I agree, and I'm glad to see it. One, because once I did my deep dive into Coach Swasey's background, I saw that discipline is first and foremost, but there's a time and place for everything. And I think that's important with our young athletes, for them to understand there's a time and a place for everything. Now, what they lead with in a lot of those stories is Coach Swasey was really, really tough at first. And then you really get into, you really find out why they're so crazy about him. Because after that, once you can meet the standard, then, oh, we're gonna have fun now. But I just got to get you here first. And that's why he endears himself to young people. And I think it's really important in this world of NIL, where we give the babies candy to keep them from crying instead of giving the vegetables will make them strong. And we gotta get back to what it used to be if you want to have a team that's going to be able to sustain all the way through the college football playoffs. Because if you only lead with the candy, it's going to leave you with a stomachache. So when it comes, to leave it, to back out of that one, I'll just say, I think it was very necessary and does it not match Coach Prime and what people fail to realize about him? Well, a lot of times people fail to realize, they see the flash and they see the, they see the swag and they see all of this and don't realize he is as traditional an old school coach as anybody in the country. And I think this only supplements that fact. But all right, so I got you tell me for you,
Bring it.
You tell me, of all the newcomers, which newcomer looked the most college ready physically to you yesterday?
I'm not going to point to an individual. I'm going to point to a group, and that's the additions to the defensive line. I think, and again, I'm doing this comparison not just to last year, but the totality of Coach Prime's being in Boulder, Colorado. You can remember 2 years ago when we would play that same introduction of players video, and all you seen in the comments was, man, they look small. Man, they little. Man, they going to be pushed around. You don't see those comments now. These are some big boys. But then what Coach Prime said is, not only stand up there, tell us where you're from and why you were here. When you did that in year one, you had people scratching the back of their neck, looking down at their shoes. Well, I just, see where I can fit in, and I'll, we'll try, we'll see what happens. These were, man, I won championship. Man, I've got to bring that dog out myself and y'all too. Man, we're here to dominate. You have people, firmly asserting why they are here and their expectations of themselves and others. And these are new guys, and they sound like they've been here a couple of years. So I'm not going to say like one guy, but as a complete unit, I think the defensive line has completely reloaded with guys that will not be pushed around, guys who will stop the run and also get to the quarterback. So I'm expecting Colorado football to lead the Big 12 once again in sacks.
I like that a lot, Uncle Neil. If I were to single somebody out, I thought multiple people. I thought defensive line. I agree with you. Like Alex McPherson looks like a real dude already, man. Yeah, my boy from the crib, London Merritt, College Park kid. Yeah, London Merritt looks good. He's been looking like that for a while. But I'm gonna say somebody may have flown below the radar. But Joseph Williams from Tulsa,
Yeah.
when you watch him play, you wouldn't think that he has the type of size that he has. But that's what enables him to catch those 50-50 balls. And being able to see him yesterday, I said, okay, I get it now. Like the separate, like he's not gonna be a kid that's gonna just kill you with separation. He's gonna be a guy that runs the route he's supposed to run. And when that ball is in the air, his plan is that's not a 50-50, that's a 80-20, that's a 90-10. So I think by being able to see him yesterday, looking at the broadness of his shoulders, I said, okay, I get it. I see how this kid was able to play the way that he did at Tulsa, and I see why Colorado was so crazy and so excited about bringing him onto the roster. So to answer my own question, I'm gonna go with Joseph Williams.
I love that, man. And I'll just say again across the board, the guys look good. You know, you already seen the guys who were seating, who were CT'd. These were the guys who were new to the team. And guess what, Dukes? Everybody that's coming wasn't there yet. You know, this thing was going to completely revamp for summer one, summer two, going into August camp, because you still got folks in school or hadn't graduated or wasn't able to come early like some people could do. So you still haven't seen some of the best that this team has to offer in certain position groups. But shout out to those who are here early and working, because I think they just look unbelievable. And I see why Coach Prime can stand on confidence and say the team got better. You know, we lost some great players, but now we're going to be a great team. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm a piggyback on that to where you said in one of our previous you tell me's, you don't replace a great player with one player, you replace a great player with multiple. And I mean that stuck with that was a bar and that stuck with me. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there because I'm gonna say it, and for anybody who hears me say it on any other platform, I'm giving Uncle Neely his credit right now. And if you see me on another platform saying it, remind me and remind them that's where it came from. That's a great one.
Man. Shout out to the movie Moneyball. You know, when they were trying to replace Jason Giambi with the Oakland A's, it's like, man, you can't replace him with one guy. You got to bring in three guys. And they went out there and they found the batting averages of three players that equal to the one they were losing and went right back in that thing. So, like, there ain't no other Travis Hunter out there, man. Ain't no Shedeur Sanders out there. You know, but you got a quarterback for Liberty and a true freshman. Put them together. Got a little confidence there.
Right.
You know, you look at with Hodges coming back and DJ McKinney, all the guys in the secondary, new and old. Do you have a Travis back there? No, but you really got four across the back that pick your poison. Like, it ain't no weak link in the chain back there. It's as a unit, they've gotten better because it's not just one guy back there anymore. So I'm standing on that, Dukes. I really think that across the board, this team is upgraded. We just got to see how it gels together through the strength and conditioning and get through spring ball, which we will really learn. You know, we're going to learn who want to be here. You know, learn who wants to be here March and April. So we're going to find out. Absolutely. All right, my brother, I got a you tell me from a broader college football. You know, we're a week away from the national championship. We played on MLK Day in Atlanta, GA. Shout out to Atlanta, GA. Home of Deuce Scoop. Peace up, A-Town.
You know,
Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach. Brother, first black head coach to coach in the national championship game. Thereby, if he wins it, will be the first black head coach to win it. You tell me, is this something that we should be talking about or paying attention to? Is this something that's still important for the culture in 2025?
All right, this may be unpopular opinion. I think it is something, but I think that it's something for somebody who wants it to be something. So if you're proud of the and I can't speak for him because he comes from he's a multi-racial guy, you know, but for the culture, I just know that when somebody asks a guy from the culture and they say, hey man, you know, how's it feel to be the first African American? They gonna say, man, it feels great. It feels this. And you know, I know what Coach Freeman had to do at that moment. And I don't blame him at all. He had to include everybody, like Tiger Woods did when they asked him about winning the Masters, right? He had to include everybody, right? But the reason there's gonna be a time, and it ain't gonna be long, before there's gonna be somebody from the culture that goes and who's proud and is gonna say, hey, they're gonna ask him, They gonna say, "How's it feel to be the first African American coach or the second African American coach?" And they gonna say, "It feels damn good. Free at last, free at last." That's how they coming. So I think, and there's no slight to Coach Freeman,
Sure.
and I don't want to say it the wrong way, but yeah, man, I just think sometimes, and if anybody understands, I do, and I 1000% would not say this unless I was on this channel, on Dukes the Scoop channel, and on Big Dog Chico channel. But when you can sign your own check, you can say what you want. But when somebody else is basically feeding your family, you got to protect everything around you because you didn't let people know on the way in, because that may not be him. But in order for you to get on that stage and let them know how proud you are of your heritage on the African American side, in a world where they want DEI to go away, in a world where they want us to believe that racism doesn't exist and hasn't existed, and that was just y'all great grandparents, where they want us to feel like being proud of being an African American is reverse racism. That is why I say I'll pay a lot more attention when somebody comes that has already let people know, hey, look, this is who I am. And when I get on that stage, I'm gonna let them know too. And I think that's what I'll be looking for more than anything. But I'm super proud of them though.
Yeah, absolutely well said. And for me to respond to the "you tell me" I set forth is really very close and kin to what you just said. One, first and foremost, when I see this dude, I see a black man. And I do understand that he has, mixed heritage and does not want to be disrespectful to one side of the family because he's, 50-50 is what he is. And I get that and understand it, much like you articulated about Tiger Woods back in the day. Having said that, you're sitting there on the edge of the seat and you're wondering if this is going to be the political correct answer, kumbaya message, or is it going to be the throw the fist up like Mexico City Olympics, black and proud answer. And so no matter which way you cut or slice the pie, I think it is still of utmost importance, that black coaches around America, minority coaches around America, can still realize that we can reach that level of coaching and even win it, not just get there, that we can compete at that level. And I think that is very important for the optics. I think it's very important, just in the lay of the land as ADs and boosters make decisions on who they're going to hire. And I still agree with you, Dukes, to the extreme part of it, that there will come a day that there will be a black coach in the college playoffs that makes the championship game and even wins the championship game. And it'd be one of the brothers got the afro pick in the back of his head with the fist on it. It won't be any, is he, ain't he? I'm not sure. And again, this is not any slight to Coach Freeman. Proud of his accomplishments. Love how he has achieved in this field and climbed up that ladder of coaching so fast with his success. And I love how the brother who hooked him early in the season from a lower division called him up and said, "Hey man, let me help you. Let me tell you how we beat you." And people forget that aspect of it. That this is an exclusive fraternity of coaches who coaches this level and make it to this level. And so I do think it's important, for it to be underscored that his heritage and he's made this far and he's standing on this stage. And whether he chooses to jump into that comment waist deep, chest deep or not has nothing to do with me. It doesn't diminish the importance of it to me from my eyeball test. And it also only promotes to me, I'm looking forward to the day that you don't have to tap dance around it. You don't have to soft shoe around it. Just you can lean all the way into it, and maybe have, some brothers out there with you, some little kids from the Boys and Girls Club, in Atlanta when this game is played and let them hold the trophy first. I'm looking forward to all of that day because I know it's coming.
Man, and it just led me to something else, man. I think a lot of people, when we talk about the culture, they think about the way we wear our clothes and they think about the music, but they don't think about what it was like feeling less than because somebody told you that you were, right? Because of the color of your skin. They don't know what it's like walking into places in the minority and being treated like the minority.
Yeah.
Everybody can identify with that experience. So when and the way that you're raised has a lot to do with whether you're gonna put like Mexico City, are you gonna put that fist up, right? Like that has a lot to do with it. So for me, the way I was raised, and you know, and I say this a lot, man, but my dad is 82 years old. Like my mom, my daddy, and his daddy he had me at 40, and his daddy had him at 50. So my granddaddy, not my great granddaddy, my granddaddy was born in 1895, and I say it all the time. So my dad's outlook on the world is going to be a lot different than everybody else's when he hears the stories from his granddaddy. Now imagine this: my great granddaddy is going to have a totally different experience in South Georgia. My great granddaddy is going to have a totally different experience than I did.
Absolutely.
So, and when those stories get passed down to the mistreatment and the pain and the agony and the trauma that goes into my family bloodline, you damn right. When I get an opportunity, I got to speak my mind. But God didn't put me in that position. So there's going to be somebody that God puts in that position that's going to speak for us who went through that struggle. I just don't think that time is happy yet. But shout out to Coach Freeman, and still and proud of him. All you know, no problem with him at all. I'm just answering the question.
Absolutely proud of him. Before you toss something my way, let me tell you something, Dukes, the audience out there, that I have to constantly remind myself, and this ain't no shot at nobody, this ain't no shade. This is a self-reminder. Like when you just spoke about, you know, the track record and history of your father and grandfather. I remind myself on the regular, Neely, you got to remember, everybody wasn't raised loving being black.
Mm-hmm.
You got some people out there who weren't raised in the same kind of household or neighborhood you were, and they may not look at being black the same way you look at being black. And you might have to be a little patient with those folks because it's not their fault. Just a reminder, Dukes.
Yeah. Now, man, and you know what?
Fact.
I appreciate it because I was talking. I got a buddy of mine that's a up and coming defensive coordinator, and he's going to all these seminars, and you know he's gonna get his shot soon because he continues to put together good seasons. And he said, man, that was big for us, right? And I'm hearing it because at the end of the day, no matter how it looks to us and whatever, when you go look to the nation, that's a black man. No matter.
And that's why I started my comment over there. When I see him, I understand how he identifies. And believe me, if I were of parents, one parent one way, one parent another, I get it. Because I don't want to disrespect my dad's side of the family over praising my mama's side of the family or vice versa. I get it. But that's why I start off loose. Now, when I look at him and should he hold up that trophy, I see a black dude holding up that trophy.
Right.
Like, he can shout out his mama's side, being Asian, all he wants to. What I see, and then just as importantly, and probably more importantly, when the police pull him over, what they see.
And it's important. You know why?
Come on now, dog.
Because if Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, if he wins it, it's not going to have the same impact.
No.
Because he's not going to get that same look that Marcus Freeman will get. And it's just the fact of it.
Not only because he don't have the look, he actually can. With not having the look, he can choose when he wants to or not.
Yeah, for sure. And and as we get ready for Black History Month, I think it's important for us to have these type conversations on our platform.
Period.
With each other.
That's why we have our platform.
Right.
Because we can have our conversations. And if the audience wants to hear it, fine. If they don't, fine. Like, we're going to talk to the people that want to hear it. One thing we can't do is self-check ourselves into speaking the truth because somebody in the chat may not feel like hearing that night. The truth ain't gonna change.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
And since we're building these three platforms on truth, that's what you're gonna get. And the truth is that race in America are so intertwined, racism in America is so intertwined that anything that you speak of about fairness and opportunity comes across as un-American. You know, people don't even hear what you're really saying. They just say, oh man, that's not right. That's not what America. That's because America is so twisted into racism that anything that's about fairness and opportunity, some people are going to hear anti-American sentiment when it's just the reverse. We're talking about equal opportunity based on what you bring to the table, what you work your ass off for. And when I see Marcus Freeman and his work as a head coach, Shout out to him, because one thing I say, and I got another you tell me that's similar to this one. One thing I say, when we get an opportunity and something doesn't go well and we fail, it takes a long time for the next one of us to get an opportunity.
Man,
You have a white coach go 0-12 and he gets fired and they hire a white coach. Black coach goes 6-6 and they won't hire a black coach to replace him. Like, so we haven't gotten over the hurdle of being afforded the same opportunities in the same circumstances.
No, absolutely. We and I talk about it all the time, and I say, man, you know, when you're a minority head coach, I'm gonna say minority in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say minority. When you're a minority head coach, you got to be real careful on the jobs you take.
Absolutely.
You cannot be a guy that's going to just take the first thing available, because there are so many other factors that go into being successful at that level. If you take the wrong one, that's going to be it. Look at Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes, it don't matter how good of a defensive mind Steve Wilkes is, right? It's going to be hard for him to get another shot. And he got 1 year with a quarterback where they fired 1 year with Josh Rosen in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in Kyler Murray the next year. Cliff Kingsbury comes in, cleans house, and Wilkes can't even stay on as the DC. He got to go. Boom.
No. And please, chat, don't think that's just football. Look at the Golden State Warriors and who really put that team together.
Yes, yes, sir. Oh my gosh.
That was a black coach to put that team together.
Hey man, hey look, we ain't gonna leave it there. I tell you what, I know it's a lot of I know it's a lot of online publications that love to cover Colorado. And I know it wasn't but a couple of guys that look like me that were able to do that at that level. And one of them had to go. Too much now. No. One of them gotta go now. Too much of this now. Hey, one of y'all gotta go. Maybe two of y'all. Well, get the new one. Get him.
Yeah.
But you know, I ain't gonna go there tonight. I'll leave it alone.
You kind of went there, and that's fair. It's on you, dog.
All right. Colorado's first game is against Georgia Tech.
Yes, sir.
From what you know about Tech, and from whatever you saw this year, what do you think Colorado needs to do to be successful in that game?
Oh wow. This Joker don't miss. In the heat of battle, he don't miss. In the heat of controversy, he don't miss. Well crafted, well stated. And again, I always point this out when this happens to the audience, because I can't assume that we're not growing. So that means every Monday we do have somebody who's watching for the first time. So let me point out to those people that you and I do not share these beforehand. We do not discuss them or text each other. The first time we hear them is on the show live. What I will say to that, as it is slated right now, Georgia Tech is week one opponent. Labor Day weekend. It could get moved up to Thursday or Friday, but right now it's that Saturday Labor Day weekend. And if you just go apples to apples, the last time you saw Georgia Tech and the last time you've seen Colorado, we know there's going to be some flux between now and then, but we just got to go off of what we saw last. The challenge is going to be, and while you can't look past the Georgia Tech, nor should you look past any opponent, Georgia Tech does well what we have, for lack of a better description, done poorly at. On defense, if there's any area that we need some improvement as a unit, it's the linebacker unit. And the way Georgia Tech can do some read option stuff, the way they have some three-man motion in the backfield, just the things that they do that stress discipline, eye discipline from the linebackers, it can certainly present a challenge. So I would imagine this offseason, spring ball, going into summer one, summer two, August, when you can really start preparing for opponents, I think there's going to have to be an emphasis on not only player talent upgrades in that linebacker room, but also the discipline that it takes to play that position. It's almost like the safety behind you. You got to be bored. You got to sit still. You can't overreact and react too soon, because the play will just blow up and go right by you. Georgia Tech ain't no week one slouch. You cannot look past that game. You tell me.
Yeah, I agree. When it comes down to Georgia Tech, they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna run the ball. And they're gonna run the ball. They got some really good running backs. Jamal Haynes, cast of guys. What's my some guys? They basically go get the guys from Atlanta. A lot of the guys who have SEC chops, they kind of get left in lingo. Georgia Tech saying now they're saying, nah, you stay home, and now the guys are starting to stay home. You look at what they did in the transfer portal. They lost Eric Singleton, who was the #1 wide receiver in the portal, and they replaced him with a 100 catch guy. From they literally just reloaded, and I think it's going to be a really good matchup because they're going to try to force their will running the ball. I think that's where you're going to see the defensive line upgrades. That's where you're going to see Jaheim Otis have the biggest impact in a game like Georgia Tech. So to your point, if Colorado wants to be successful, they're going to have to stop the run. That's where we saw Georgia Tech get in trouble last year when the run wasn't working. Now, when they had their run working, and then they go, like, you look at the game against Georgia, once they got the run working, then they get to play action. Now they got your eyes fooled, and Georgia may have had the best linebacker core of the country, and they confused Georgia. So when you think about the misdirection, like you said, the motion in the backfield, the eye candy, the window dressing, however you want to call it, if the linebackers don't have disciplined eyes, it's going to be a long day for Colorado. So I think getting 2 senior guys in, like French and Hughes, I think that's in itself. Get 2 veterans in who you can't fool the same way that you would fool a sophomore or freshman who's just athletic as hell but doesn't have the game experience. So, I would say that for Colorado to be successful, they definitely got to stop the run.
Yeah, and that game experience is key, Deuce, because you got to understand there's a play to be made, but I can't try to force making the play. I have to understand this is going to be a long game, read my keys, stick to my assignment, and don't overreact trying to be a hero because they're trying to bait you into hero ball. You saw that happen against BYU in the bowl game. When they realized that Colorado was in a situation where they got to blitz because they need this ball back, they as an offensive line started inviting that blitz, and they just went right over the top of it with a screen. Next 20 yards later down the field, and so you just have to be careful you're not playing into the hands of somebody what they want you to do. And so I'm looking forward to that matchup, week 1, Georgia Tech, Folsom Field. Here's a fun fact, Dukes.
Okay.
Fun fact, and I'm trying to think if I ever said this publicly before, because this might be breaking, and maybe as we get closer to that game, be able to share more details from a historical perspective. Coach Prime was almost at Georgia Tech.
Man. Okay. I'm gonna double down on that one, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That could have happened. And I'm not talking about something recently. I'm talking about when he was at Jackson State and ended up at Colorado. It could have very easily. So much so, Deuce, I can show you a pregame show logo that I got made with a yellow jacket.
Man.
That's how real it was.
So there was a top player in the class last year. I mean, top 5 player in the class whose father told me that if Coach Prime would have got the job at Tech, that's where they would have went. Now, how was he privy to that information? I have no idea. But I never came and asked you. I never went to ask Coach. I ain't do none of that.
Yeah.
But this guy, he 1,000% said that Coach Prime was close. And this kid, now, I can see him being recruited for a long time because this guy is a top 5 kid in the class last year. #1 in his position. And so I heard a couple other schools too. But I tell you what, man, it's just amazing how God puts people where they're supposed to be, ain't it? Especially when they listen. Like, because, man, who would have thought Colorado would be in a position that Colorado is in now? 2 years ago, Colorado was an afterthought.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind. We're talking about a real live 1-11 Power 4 team.
Yeah.
Not a Vanderbilt.
No, what shouldn't happen.
Yeah, man. Man,
I gotta tell you this, Dukes, that when Coach Prime told me the Colorado decision and told him where it was God led, and I told him jokingly but serious because I have seen this guy in Jackson State push back practice an hour just so he can go from being 58 degrees to 63 degrees in the morning. So I know he don't play the cold. And to see him have an opportunity to be in Atlanta, you know what he meant to Atlanta and his career meant to the city, to come to Colorado in a 1-11 program in the freezing temperature. I told him, I said, "Oh, you ain't got to sell it to me. I know that's God led, because can't none but God do that. That's some power. That is some power." I'm laughing with the chat, man, because somebody in the chat said, I'm paraphrasing. No, I can read it. I can read it directly. They said, "Uncle Neely, I know you won't confirm or deny this, but a bag of M&Ms might do it. Scratch your beard if we have a new running back coach." That's why you saw me doing this. I was playing with them. Miss T N wanted to know. Miss T N, shout out to Miss T N.
Did you scratch the beard?
Yeah, I scratched it. Yeah. I gave you a hint last week, and it'll give us a couple more days, but everybody's gonna be surprised. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice.
Oh, wow.
Last night.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice. So appreciate Miss T-N, trying to get some inside information with a beard scratch.
Man, it's going down on You Tell Me Tonight, baby. Man, who was it? It was on me? It was on you?
I think it's me.
Okay.
I got another one from the CFP.
All right.
Fans and boosters ain't patient no more. You lose one game, you out of here. And when you look at how Notre Dame bounced back from that early season loss, playing down money game, had to pay somebody, and they came in and lost to a brother that was a head coach as well. We also, what happened to Ryan Day with Michigan, everybody was calling for his job. Now he is playing for a national championship in that same season. What I want to know, Dukes, you tell me, is Ryan Day's job on the line for this national championship?
I think I don't think it's on the line for this national championship, but I think he just saved his job by beating Texas. I think that was the one that bought him another year and another budget. Being that when you see what you have, you've got a top-rated quarterback. You had number one rated quarterback of last year's class in Julian Sand. You got another year of Caleb Downs. He's a true sophomore. You're going to lose a lot up front, but you're going to bring a whole lot back. The recruiting class was good. And then you're going to see Colorado be very active in the spring portal once they figure out everybody's decision after they come out of this game, Ohio State, excuse me. So I think that he definitely saved his job last game. If he would have lost that last one, but it's hard to get somebody in the Super Bowl, right? Like,
yeah,
in the Super Bowl. Outside the Super Bowl playoffs, we've seen that before. I don't think we've seen somebody get to the championship and then lose their job that year. Maybe the next year.
Yeah.
But that year, that's tough. So I'm going to say he saved his job with the last game. You tell me, what you think?
Oh man, I got mixed emotions on it. Because for one emotion, I don't give a damn. I have to admit that. But as a lover of college football and as a host of college football shows, I have to go ahead and down the road and pretend I care about Ryan Day and his employment future. Having said that, man, let me tell you why, man, dude. This Ohio State Michigan thing is like nothing else in the world.
Right.
Nothing else matters but that game. And I think that some goodwill was restored with the depths that he has gone, beating Texas, now going, to the national championship game. I'm going to say that as a practical matter, his job is no longer on the line. Like, he could lose the game and keep his job. But here's the asterisk. Can't be no blowout. Got to be competitive. Got to be a close game. Got to ball out. Got to lose like on a field goal as the clock hits 0. It can't be some 38-12 game, because all the Michigan emotions with the boosters and the fundraiser guys is going to come up, and they're going to make that change. Tell you what it reminds me of. Everything's in my head. Go back to movies. I know y'all remember the movie Training Day. Denzel Washington. You remember he went to see the wise men at the steak restaurant that was closed, and it's just a little private lunch. And when they sat down, Everybody's chit-chatting, telling stories, happy to see each other. And then the switch just flipped and said, man, how did you F up so bad? And they just went right into business of what we got to do to fix this. I think that Texas victory is a lot of backslapping, a lot of hugs, like, yeah, we with you all the time, coach. He loses Notre Dame. How did you mess up so bad? Like, we gave you everything you needed to beat Michigan. I think he's lost to him 4 times now in a row.
Man.
Three for sure. 3 for sure. I don't know, Dukes. I want to say that getting to the national championship game should give you some job security in college football. But the way that Michigan-Ohio State rivalry works, I really can't stand on that for certain. I think he needs to win this game, or he's got to be competitive. He's got to be.
Yeah, $20 million. I mean, when they give you that type of money, he went out there and said he was one of the first people that went out there, and they had him in the they had him speaking on the microphone and said, hey, it's going to cost us $13 million to be competitive.
Yeah.
All right, so when they go give you that and some,
yeah,
and you know the number that nationally accepted is $20 million for that roster from the collective. Not see when you go look at people's NIL values and you see name, image, and likeness. This ain't like Colorado where you had Shedeur and Travis, you know, really getting that on their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys up there you never seen in a commercial.
And you never will. That's bad.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot go. You cannot point Will Howard out of a crowd.
Yeah,
like you can't. And he's a quarterback for that team. So when you consider all things that have to do with finances, that's what it gets you for your job, bro. More than anything, bro. You mess with what they say, playing with the church's money. You can't. Yeah, you don't mess with. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You can't play with the money, man. So. Like you said, yeah, he could be a little bit on thin ice. I say that.
And the level at which that they raise it for other things, they raise it even faster to buy out a contract.
Come on,
you know, you look at Jimbo Fisher down there. You look at all the other coaches. Like, man, they don't care about raising no $30 million to fire somebody. Like, that is not their concern. And so, you know, you once lived in a space where somebody's buyout could be so egregious or favorable to them that you just like, oh, he gonna earn another year until that go down. Man, this big business of college football, TV revenue, NIL, collective money flooding through the gates, man, they don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
No more than Arthur Blank cared about, you know, drafting a quarterback after he's already paid one. Like that. Billionaires don't think like that.
Right. Man, please, man. They not playing. They had it. And man, I think the Ohio State, like when I got a list of people who are really involved in Ohio State, like the boosters, and it was just like a who's who of the mall. Like imagine just walking down the mall and seeing all these big famous stores, and it's like, oh, that's Ohio State guy. That's an Ohio State guy. I had no. They really got it. So he's got to win because you know I know how I feel about my money when I pay and I don't get what I paid for.
Or when I'm getting what I paid for. Because example, you know when I go get a new box of cereal.
When
the current box is empty. Them jokers will eat one spoon of a new box and not like it to go buy another box. Like, no, I'm gonna finish this box whether I like it or not. Like,
I need all that. Yeah,
I got to get all of it.
Yeah.
When I'm done with it, I go get another box.
Right.
Same thing with the cell phone. They can put all the new ones they want to. I ain't get no new one until this one ain't working no more. They don't think like that, dog. It's so you, Dukes. It's so you, dog.
I ain't gonna lie, Uncle Neely, man. You tell me, man, what the hell made you say you ain't give a damn about Ryan Day winning no championship, man?
I'm just let me just tell you this, man. I don't mean the man no harm. I don't get no joy in somebody losing their employment or anything like that. But I just have to be real with it. Yeah. One thing I'm not gonna do is cry over a head coach in America losing their job. It is the best job you can get fired from.
Right.
When they told Ed Ogeron, Coach O down at LSU, they were letting him go, and they told him what his buyout was. He said, "Which door you want me to go out of?" Like I can't cry about that, man. Like when you are a college head coach in the Power 5 and lose your job while under contract, you take so much of that contract with you just to leave. It ain't no problems at the house. Mama happy, you happy, you good. So that's why I said I can't sit and act like I'm worried about him, like he my boy or something. I don't know the man. And I know if it did come down to that, he good financially.
Man, I think it was just the timing. I ain't gonna lie. The way you said it, man. I almost choked, man. I was like, man, what's wrong with this dude, man? Don't tell him.
I was sincere. I think I heard an N-bomb slip out too. So I think I heard you say this ninja crazy.
It's gonna be one of show. I remember last time, man. I get to a question.
Dude, hold on one second. Don't lose your talk. Chico, while Dukes is talking, pull up Ed Orgeron's buyout. It'll be a timeline of what he gets paid when. Go ahead, Duke.
I think it was last time, man. I cried like real tears. You said something. You was like, man, you lucky I'm sitting at this desk. I ain't got no pants on because I would get up and go show you my degree. Man, I cried laughing.
No, those
ain't got no sense for real, man. It really ain't got no sense.
I do a lot of these shows with no bottoms, man. I basically put the waist up. I'll be comfortable at the house, man. And so they start challenging my credentials. I couldn't reach them on the wall. Like, well, you lucky I'm sitting here in drawers.
That's crazy. Don't care nothing about nothing, man. Ooh, 17 million?
Yeah, but look at the installments, man. Show the installments, Chico. It's a timeline to it of like every December when he gets paid. Here we go. 18 installments over 4 years. First installment, 5.68 December. The remaining installments, 426 to $1 million. Come on, $750,000 twice a year until 2025. You think that man mad he got fired?
Man, I tell you what.
That's to stop coaching. That's to go home. That's to leave me alone money.
Man, please, man. I see. I knew I missed my calling. I was thinking about it, man. Like I know how to motivate the kids, man. I'm finna go try. Yeah, I got to do something different.
Hey,
I tell you what, I just got bought out of contract, and then they ain't feel like that.
I tell anybody, listen, my dream job is to be a fired head coach in America.
Said something then.
You mean you finna give me this to not work?
Right. Right. For real.
Like Coach Joe say, which door? Which where I leave from?
You want to close the door behind me?
Got a super chat. Let me read that super chat. Chico, put it up on the screen for me one time, if you don't mind. $5 from FPSD. The culture needs to promote and interview Myron Roll. That's Black excellence. I heard that.
Yeah. Shout out to
Lawrence. Go ahead, dude.
I'm about to say shout out to New Jersey, man. Myron Roll. I think it's the DB from Florida State who ended up being a neurosurgeon.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Lawrence RBE, appreciate the $10 super chat. Neely and Duke, it feels like CU alumni is not fully on board, as if they could forget about the 1-11 of success. It's because them CP should be the highest paid coach and not sign a good off. You know, I will see. He is no doubt in my mind has to be the highest paid coach in America because of all the things he brings to the table outside of winning football games. If Indiana and Arizona State can get extensions and bumps up for winning games, what does a guy get for winning games and increasing enrollment and selling out games and getting every game on TV? It's got to be the highest paid, man.
Agreed. Agreed.
Like that. You want to go one more round before we get out of here?
Man, you go. If you got it, I'm out. If you got it,
I got one for you.
Last
one of this Monday's You Tell Me. Like I said, man, I've been with Coach Prime now 5 seasons in the books, 3 at Jackson State, 2 at Colorado, and every one of those seasons I have seen him make staff changes, whether people took offers otherwhere else or he was moving in another direction. I've seen him make staff changes every season I've been with him. This season, first, both coordinators remain. Pat Shermer is still offensive coordinator. Rob Livingston is still defense coordinator. You tell me, without coordinator changes and what that signals, what are the expectations or pressure on those two coaches for the 2025 season?
I think the pressure of success. I think when you are successful early, I liken it to Lil Baby, right? Lil Baby just dropped an album that's pretty decent, but his second album was so good that everything else seems mediocre. So these guys can go out and have a season that may be a little bit not as good as last year. Maybe second maybe you're second in the Big 12 in sacks this year, which is still a great season, but it's still going to take a little bit of luster off of it because of how you performed the previous year. So I think there is some pressure based on your success. Now, I think that more so, I think that pressure is going to be on Livingston more than anything for the turnaround that he was able to make. But I'll say this, when it comes to Shermer, I think now is a little bit less pressure because you can get to your offense, your original offense that you were more familiar running. So he went to a lot of passing concepts and vertical concepts because of what he had. You ever go somewhere and you see and they say, all right, I'm hungry. They say, well, what you got in the kitchen? And you got to cook based on that. All right, so some of the stuff that he has in that cabinet now is based on what he got from the store. So you're going to see now you've got more tight ends there. Now you got more. You're going to be able to run more outside zone. If you look at what they're doing, they're bringing in huge guards. Like a lot of these guys have tackle size that are going to play guard, 6'7", 340-pound guard. That tells me if you got those size guards and 3 tight ends that you're bringing in, I think it's three right now, 3 new tight ends. That tells me you finna run the damn ball. And that literally is what Sherman was famous for, is all of his run concepts, even going back to Shady McCoy's 1,700-yard season. I think I think that's what, if I were to say if there's any pressure, I would say more pressure on Livingston, and it's going to be a little easier on Sherman because now he can really get into what he's famous for. What about you,
I love the way you break that down. I got to be honest with you. I had not considered even what I was asking until I asked it. But I loved your analysis of it on why the difference between the two. I want to make to some of the pressure being off Shermer, if you will, from a football perspective. No more Shedeur Sanders. And so I think that the fan base or the guys calling games on national TV, particularly if you go with a true freshman starter, there's going to be some allowance for growing pains, if you will. And we'll see which QB emerges, for week 1 and beyond. But I do think that standard on the defense has been set. And it's that standard on the defense that actually helped the offense this year. If you compare offense to defense over the past 2 years, the defense was able to put the offense in some positions to be successful. You're talking about, we had 14 turnovers this year, Dukes, and they only scored off one of those. 14 turnovers. And the defense went out there and they only were allowed to score once. You flip that over, the defense on its takeaways, our offense were able to score on 50% of the takeaways that we got. And so the defense has really been the backbone of success. I think it's going to be needed even more now, should you go with a true freshman quarterback, trying to get a run game going, trying to get the tight ends involved, everything you just said. But I'll tell you this, standard is the standard. And I've seen Coach Prime make mid-season changes.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Just because it started one way August 30th don't mean October 20th is the same way.
Yeah.
Seen it,
man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's my birthday too. That's a good call, October 20th.
Oh, wow, man. Look at the universe. Look at the Lord. And in fact, like every time we get ready to exit, tell me, Deuce to Scoop, always closing words, bro.
Man, my pop always told me when I would be doing something and I would say I wanted something, or I say I need this, or I'm doing this, but my actions would be different. He would always say, "What you do is so loud, I can't hear a word you saying." Basically saying you need to be about what you talk about.
Let the actions drown out them words. I'm going to trust what you do, not what you say. I love that. Deuce Scoop always gives us something to close on. Hey, y'all, check us out next Monday. We'll be back with You Tell Me. And between that time, me and Chico are coming back Thursday night. Might even have Duke on with us live as a special guest with Uncle Chico. You can also catch Dukes on The Breakdown, dropping later this week as well. And do not forget, man, go subscribe and like no matter which channel you're watching. If you're on Duke channel, go hit the other 2 like and subscribe. If you're on my channel, go hit the other 2 like and subscribe. If you're on Chico, go hit the other 2 like and subscribe. Had over 1,000 people watching this live as we simulcast on all 3 platforms. Appreciate the love from the chat. Appreciate y'all checking us out every Monday night live. You Tell Me. We out of here.